Hello, welcome to Unfiltered with Mariat. I am here to have real conversations that inspire, challenge, and connect us. Together, we will dive into stories that matter, build authentic connections, and uncover strategies to grow capital, whether it's financial, social, or personal. No filters, no holding back, just impactful discussion with incredible change makers and visionaries. Let's grow together. Join me. Unfiltered with Mariat. Well, who do we have here today? We have an amazing guest with us today on Unfiltered with Mariat podcast, where we have great conversation, big connections, and great capital. With us today is Chantelle Krish. Chantelle Krish is the CEO of Big Sister, and I'm just so pumped up to look forward to our conversation, which is purely organic here at Unfiltered with Mariat. So Chantelle Krish, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. You look amazing. I like you in that white, as I always say, badass CEO, but we're going to talk more about that. So tell us more about who Chantelle, and I love the name. And sometimes I wanted to tell you a long time ago, like probably you need to brand that name, put it on trade, maybe use it for we can have Chantelle Krish moisturizers or Chantelle Krish purses. But anyway, tell us who you are.
Well, thank you. That was an amazing introduction. And it's really a pleasure and honor to be here, Mariat, in conversation with you. Who is Chantelle Krish? I have the honor of being a CEO, and I would say of Big Sisters. And I was saying to you, like, it still feels weird to say that and to be in this role at an organization that I've deeply loved long before I joined. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's great. I'm a mom. I have two little kids, Uma and Tristan, and they keep me very busy. Wife, daughter, sister, friend. I mean, the list goes on. And yeah, it's, there's so much about me being able to do this work that provides so much meaning. But, I think, yeah, it's one dimension of my personality, I guess.
Well, there's so much to unpack from that introduction, honestly. And this is a flavor that I love about the podcast, because we never send you any question in advance. It's just two, guests or two amazing humans sitting down and just having a good conversation in front of the room, unlike, even outside in the pouch, wherever. So you talked about being a CEO and it feels weird. And that actually hit me, because I'm sitting down here as a Black woman and as a woman of color. And I often hear this from people that look like me, people that look like you, feeling, oh my God, I'm a CEO. That feels weird. So I know how I'm feeling, but I want to dive into that. Why does it feel weird when I know and I see the incredible work you're doing in the community? And as I introduced you in the earlier time, badass CEO, I always say that with most women, all women are badass CEO, because the glass ceiling is there. And when we break, I don't believe in breaking the glass ceiling. I begin in flying through the black ceiling and getting to the cloud. But tell us, why is it feeling uncomfortable to be a CEO? You are a chief executive officer, Chantelle.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, yeah, I guess uncomfortable, not so much. I really love it. And I enjoy the work and how busy and dynamic and different every day is. I guess there's still a part of me that feels like, how did I get here? Right? Like, I studied communications and I've always sort of worked in that field, in the nonprofit sector, in corporate, in politics, in government. And so to make a jump, which I did about 4.5 years ago now, into a role.
Wow, 4.5 years. Ooh, okay.
I've been at 3, sorry. And before that, I was somewhere else. So yeah, it certainly feels like, so it's been long enough that I've been doing this job, a couple rounds around the sun, and I know kind of what to expect here and there. But I guess it's just like what you imagine when you're growing up and as a woman, and definitely as a woman of color, of who a CEO is and should be like, is never something I thought for myself until I started to work with more women leaders. And I started to see how they lead differently and how empathy and compassion are really infused into their style. And I'm not saying that that doesn't exist with so many of our male allies and CEOs out there, because it surely does. But it really was when I started working in organizations where I saw how women lead, it helped. And I just saw a different face of leadership and helped to inspire hope in me that it was something I might be able to achieve for myself one day.
Well, when you said something you can achieve, you've achieved that. And how does that feel like, listening? I mean, there's lots of people that listen to the podcast. There'll be women out there listening to you, right? And saying, yeah, you're Chantelle, she's a CEO, and I want to be able to get to that position, and I'm hearing her saying it does feel weird to sit here after we wish to get to that position. And then when you sit on that throne and it feels like, oh, okay, I'm a CEO, just feel like the impact of your contribution, the job itself, the people that you look after, the challenges that comes with that. And even some people thinking, oh my God, why is she the CEO? Like you get all sort of things come in, right? So what can you tell a woman who is aspiring and looking up to you today? How can you get them to be prepared to sit on this kind of a throne and be ready for what that leadership means?
I would say go for it. Like, we're all just human beings trying to make an impact in the world, and taking risks is such an important part of our growth and development. And yeah, I would say for any young woman or any woman that's interested in learning more about and being in a position like mine, I mean, we need more women in these roles. We need more people to throw their hat in the ring and to see themselves and to take on the challenge. And it's not always easy, but that's what makes it fun and exciting as well. So I think it's great. And like the other thing is, like, I did not get here alone, and I don't do this work alone. Like, my team and my mentors and my community, we rely on them constantly. So I think it's more of a group effort, I would say, to be able to do a job like this. And I get a lot more credit than I deserve, because it's actually, I wouldn't be able to be here doing something like this if there weren't 35 people working behind the scenes, actually on the ground, doing the work that we need to serve the community. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I love the way you give a shout out to your team, where that shows the kind of leadership, and that's amazing and that's very inspiring. And we always encourage women who aspire to become leaders. When you get there, don't forget about the people that work with you. Don't forget the communities, your mentors. Don't forget your team. It's all a village, for your success. So congratulations, and I'm just kind of like seeing more of the incredible work you're going to do in the community, because I've seen what you do already. So let's dive into the balance. There's a lot of talk now about childcare and all that kind of a talk. How do you maneuver? Because I know you have 2 young children, and how do you maneuver being a mom, a wife, plan those let's go away kind of weekend thing? Because I see you balancing it really pretty well. I follow you on social media, and I will see when you go away. I think I contacted and said, where is that? Where are you? It looks amazing. So, but the thing that I always think about when I see you and I see women like you do that, there's another amazing woman that do that, Selena Wu. I always see her. She's always out in the weekend. I'm like, I'm in an empty nester. I can't even move myself and just get a weekend break. I'm like, what's going on here? So how do you balance all of that? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to know, because you seem to be really handling it really well, Chantelle. So tell us.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Thank you. And I think, how do I balance? I mean, one, I have a very supportive husband, Tillman, and he and I work as a team. And so when you take on a job like this, it never really turns off, right? Like, yes, there are times where we definitely are with family and we're traveling or we're just being together, but there's always a line into what's going on in the organization. Like, Big Sisters is like my baby as well, right? So
of course,
3 kids.
I will come back and ask you what number of the baby it is, if it's the third or the second, because your husband too is a baby. So we'll come back to that.
It was 4, and my dog, so actually 5.
Oh, say 5.
Well, I think for me, it's not necessarily about turning off work and turning on family. It's actually about integrating it all and making it all work together. And so sometimes, at a very practical sense, if that means putting in a few hours on late one night so that I'll have more time in the morning on the weekend, great. But it's not always like that. It was a lot of ebbing and flowing with a job like this, and leaning on our team and making sure that other people are empowered to take on and lead in the organization. Like, that's a big part of it too. And that takes time, right? To have a team that's really working at that level. So I would say that's part of it. And I've always had a sense of joy for life. And
I love that.
Right? Like, it's not,
that.
Yeah, I don't work myself to the bone without finding joy and having fun. So for me, that's a big part of my ethos, I guess, and bring that. And you can't like with little kids. I mean, you have to be able to get on the ground and play. And so,
oh yeah, bring the inner kid in you out straight away. Yeah, I love that for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I love how you've said, like, able to have the joy of life is so big and it's so huge. And I always like say that to people, that I'm a self-lover, and that comes from a fullness of joy. I can make myself really happy because happiness is an inside job. If I want, I cannot blame anyone. I can say, Chantelle, you make me unhappy. Happiness is an inside job, right? So we have to be constructive in regards to what is making us sad. And then, anyway, I'll go to that later, but let's talk about the babies. I want to know what order of all the babies. Who comes first and who is a fifth? I want to know the order. And I know if your husband is listening to this is a moment of truth. Who comes first and who is a fifth? So let's go.
Say, Mary, they are all equal. So there is.
I have my fingers ready to count. Why are you going to do this to me?
They are all equal parts. But they're all so different. Like, I think my son is 4.5 and he's starting kindergarten in the fall. And I just think, like, I remember vividly the day he was born, both of them. Yeah. You remember those moments, and
it never goes away.
No. And to think, like, okay, he's actually going to transition out of daycare, and the whole childcare thing that so many families deal with young kids. It is such a world when it's incredibly difficult to find good care. And when you do, you hold on to it for dear life. And then to actually, like, now be stepping away from that. And I spent a lot of my career advocating for childcare through various work that I've been involved with.
Amazing.
So for me, it's like, I know how important it is. And now that,
because it hit home, right? You feel it.
Yeah. Like, you can't work and really give yourself to your work if you don't feel like your children are being cared for in the right way. Right. So that, to me, like, these are reflections I have, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I just think one day they're all going to be taller than me because I'm very short, and I'm going to be the smallest in the house. And I just think, wow, that's just wild that one day they're going to grow up and leave and go on to do amazing things. So I guess I'm really just, all of them bring me so much joy. And also put me in my place, which is probably not a bad thing.
I love it. Put you in your joy and put you in your place. I love it. And then you're so clever. You're so super smart. You're a complete badass boss. And you knew well how to articulate that question. You'd be like, Mariat, you're not putting me in any spotlight. I'm not having a phone call from my husband and saying, what is going on? And then everyone is equal. And I like that. So let's go into DEI, since we've talked about equality. How does that show up as a CEO that you are? And then you have to use the fragments and strategies of DEI to make decisions to employ, to see how you're matching your mentees. How does that work for you? So let us know.
Yeah, it's really great. And I know you do a lot of work in this area too, Mariat. And so I really honor that.
Thank you.
How critical it is and the important work you're doing. Like, I think DEI, especially when you come from a background where you are already in a minority in some way. And as women and women of color, we have that, there's intersecting identities. And I guess that's what we bring to our work, right? Like, when I started at Big Sisters, I wasn't alone in applying this lens across the organization by any means. The majority of my staff come from diverse backgrounds, and the populations we work with do as well. So we know as an organization how important it is to consider the various backgrounds, experiences, cultures, age, stage, financial situation, all of it, and how all of those things come together to either create opportunities or create barriers for people. And as girls and gender diverse youth who we work with, they feel that at a really early stage. And it's our job to find them somebody or to put them in an environment and support them through mentorship so that they can overcome some of these challenges, and the challenges aren't what define them. And there's no greater gift than being able to do this kind of work. It's so meaningful. So how I approach DEI is sort of how I show up to work every day. And I think it's just part of my worldview. And I think whether it's in our policies and our practices, on our programs and the kind of education we do with our teams, our governance approach, like it has to be weaved into everything for it to actually stick, be meaningful, and create that systemic response to breaking down those barriers.
Yeah, breaking those barriers are always so. Are there been challenges? What kind of challenge do you feel? What flavors do you get when it comes to challenges, breaking those barriers? Because that's where the challenges have those gaps where we can now start being really progressive towards equity. So what kind of strategies as a leader or challenges do you see to implement strategies to start breaking those barriers?
I think like at a systemic level, there's so many things that we need to consider in how we design our programs, even our policies, human resources, all of it. Like, are there things that exist that are inadvertently creating a wall between someone to be able to achieve their potential, right? And it's simple stuff sometimes, like when we start job interviews with candidates, we ask them if there's anything they need to ensure they feel included and safe and supported throughout the process. And we ask them that before they even show up to the interview. Sometimes we can send them questions in advance. And so that it gives them the opportunity to reflect and think about, what are some of the things they're going to have to address in an interview. And particularly for folks that might be neurodiverse, like that gives them a level playing field, right? So I think many of us have seen this, who's in this space, this graphic of the difference between equity and equality. And equity is really giving people the different levers to get to the same place in which they might have an equal chance or an equal shot at an opportunity. Whereas equality is just everybody gets the same thing. And what we've learned in the last decade, and for many of us have been living and breathing that a lot longer, is it's equity that we need to focus on, right? Because for some people, you show up and you already have so many barriers to even being able to meaningfully contribute in a way that is fair and right.
I love that answer. And that's why I'm dedicated into when you talk about inclusion and equity is something I don't want to use the word passionate, but I'm completely dedicated in it because it's still a struggle and we're still finding the fragments and how organizations can start weaving all of those policies and processes so that they can be really progressive and ensure that equity becomes a standard in organization. And this is the reason why the lens of intersectionality is important. We are all woven into different intersectionality. I always tell people diversity is not just because what you see. There's so many compliments about me and you too. Like when we start talking, you start breaking down different frameworks, which you've already mentioned about, their abilities, their education and everything, the ethnicity. So the lens of intersectionality is completely, the future in helping us to progress towards equity. I love your answers. So really great, a response you've given us. And I'm sure it has given a lot of people some nuggets and insight into how they see things too. So let's go back again into some kind of like personal stuff, So I see you outside. You're always like looking amazing, like you are today. So tell us, with all of this, bad has CEO going on, mom of two and, husband who is very supportive, by the way, you mentioned that great, because I have to shout that out to give a message to husbands who need to be more supportive, right? So
Mm.
how do you go? So when is Chantel's me time only where I need to go do, maybe I need to go buy that outfit, I need to go do my facials, I need to go do my nails. So tell us more about that. We want to know. We want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's valid. I always ask people this about themselves too, so I love the question.
Here you go. It's your turn.
Yeah. Well, like that's definitely been one of the harder things to find. Like time, right? Like time is just so limited now. And so for me, being active, physically active really helps to restore and maintain a sense of like inner balance. And so I've had to get like things like I've had to get up earlier every day so that I can fit that in the morning, right?
In the morning to go shopping?
No, definitely not shopping, but exercise.
I want to know about shopping. No, leave the exercise thing alone. I know you do it. Chantel, we're not going to talk about exercise today because we know you do it. We're going to talk about the time you take to go buy those outfits, those shoes, and do those makeup and the nails. Tell us. We want to know.
Definitely find time for shopping. I'll tell you that right now. I love it. I love fashion and
Online or in person? Online or in person shopping?
I'm an in-person shop. Like I'm 5'2". I cannot buy clothes online. It is so hard for me. And so I end up doing a lot of my shopping. I don't know, like I'll do a Friday afternoon if I've had a long week with a lot of evening events. I live in North Vancouver. I'll go to Park Royal and hit up my favorite spots. I love thrift shopping. Like I really like going to consignment stores. So that's another thing that I really enjoy doing. And yeah, like I don't do as much online, but kind of looking at trends and what's out there. That's certainly something that I love to do as well. And then I just love color and I love like being able to mix things together, put outfits together. So for me, yeah, lots of
I see that. I see those patterns on color. Like I wanted to ask you a long time ago that I know your fashion sense is unique and it's really lovely. So yeah. But so I want to something that I usually ask to make people feel just relaxed, in this podcast. So let's get a little bit humor too, right? So I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know you really well, because we know you're a badass CEO. We know you're working incredibly hard and everything like that. So what do you like to eat? What is your best meal that if I tell you right now, or you tell me you want to come join me right now? So what is your best meal? What does Chantelle love so much?
Oh, I love this question. I mean, my favorite meal, my favorite meal is my family is from Sri Lanka and my mom makes chicken curry, rice, dal, and a broccoli dish. Something called papadum, which is like a deep fry.
I love that. Oh my God. It's so crispy. I love it.
It's like a bowl of chicken curry and rice. My mom's cooking. If I had like a last supper, if I was like, this is what I want. Anytime I go home to my parents, she makes it. Even now, and I'm in my 40s. That's my favorite meal. So, and it's also a meal that's like, first of all, it tastes so good. It's a flavor explosion. It's very spicy. So good. But it's also reminds me of home, right? So I think it's got like that double. And I've been trying to recreate this meal for the last 10 years and I'm like close with some of the dishes, but then I try my mom's and I'm like,
Chantelle, don't ever try compete with your mother's food. And I'm sure you're going to say that to your daughter sometime. Say, hey, the chicken salad I make for you, this is uniquely mine. You can't compete with it. So there's just something about mom's food that is just so sacred that you don't go there and we all yearn for it. Like, I'm like feeling so, because my mom is based in Michigan, right? So I've been like, I want to go visit. And all I'm thinking about is like cooking. I just like, and I think sometimes it's just sacred. It's just something we're used to, something we were brought up with. And it's just heartwarming. It's comfortable, right? It's comforting to feel like, I'm with mom and the food and everything like that. So thanks for sharing with us. That's really amazing. Last question. Dead or alive, who would you like to have dinner with tonight? And it has to be a celebrity, dead or alive.
I love to have dinner with Kamala Harris. I think if I could sit across the table and it's so recent and she like watching everything she did to get to where she did and everything she went through. I just
Yeah.
thought fun, interesting, badass.
Very inspiring. Yeah.
The person I'd love to have dinner with, alive and and definitely kicking. So great question.
Chantelle, you're amazing, and we wish you all the best. And it's just been a pleasure having this conversation with you. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us, on the Unfiltered with Mariat podcast. It's just been a pleasure having a chat. I want to wish you all the best, and we wish you on the next level because we want to see what's coming next. Okay, so we're going to pause and bring you back when we're talking about the double CEO role next. Okay. So have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's been an honor to be here.
Thank you.